What is going on, y'all? It is the Caveman back at it again with another video. It's getting to that point of the offseason, folks, where I'm going to give you my predictions for all 32 teams in the NFL, division by division. To kick off this series, I will be doing the NFC North, and I'll do one division each and every week. I'm really going to try my best to not go over or predict any games involving the Cleveland Browns just yet. Not knowing what the Deshaun Watson suspension is looking like or what it's going to be makes me a little weary about how I'm going to predict some of those games, because obviously whether he's playing or not makes a tremendous difference for them, which is exactly why we're starting with the NFC North today. I got my Mott's applesauce right by my side. Let's not waste any more of your time and let's get right into it. To kick off the prediction series, at the bottom of the NFC North, I have the Chicago Bears, and I am predicting them to finish 3-14. The Chicago Bears finished with 6 wins last season, and I only see it getting significantly worse in 2022. And the reason for that is primarily their offseason. They had a lot of losses, but they really didn't have any additions to cancel out such negatives. Their offensive line has been atrocious. That was not addressed. They did not really address the loss of Allen Robinson, aside from bringing in like Byron Pringle. Lost Akeem Hicks and Eddie Goldman on the interior defensive front as well, and they really did not do much to make up for that either. I just cannot see a scenario in which the Chicago Bears even come close to sniffing 7 or 8 wins. The only saving grace for them at the moment is the fact that we really don't know what we're getting in Matt Eberflus. I'm not sure how he's going to turn this ship in the right direction, and if he's even able to in the first place. I guess time will tell for that, but until I'm proven otherwise, I'm giving the Chicago Bears 3 victories against 3 teams that are very susceptible to losing games that they shouldn't. They'll split with the Lions. I think they'll steal one from the Commanders. I think the Commanders are going to be a relatively inconsistent football team this year, and then I think they'll take one from the Jets, despite the Jets being on the upswing. Moving on, we got the Detroit Lions, who I predict to finish 3rd in the NFC North at 4-13. They had a significantly better offseason than the Chicago Bears, but I just don't think they're ready to take that next jump yet. A lot of their added talent is still relatively young in the NFL. Even talent that's going to their 2nd or 3rd year, they're not exactly the most experienced football players. Don't get me wrong, Aiden Hutchinson, Jameson Williams, those guys are going to have an impact that is felt for this football team. I just think it's going to be a little too soon before we're seeing the Detroit Lions jump to being a 6-7, maybe even 8-win team. They do have a number of games against teams that are more their speed, but I don't believe they're going to be 100% winning all of those games. So I gave them a few of them. I think they beat Seattle. I think they beat Jacksonville. I think they beat the Bears once. It's possible, though, that we see the Lions beat a team that they shouldn't, like last year, and they got very close to beating a lot of teams that they shouldn't have last year, so I would not be shocked if I'm missing a win or two just because of that reason. Next up, my prediction for 2nd place in the NFC North, I have the Minnesota Vikings. This is the team that I do think takes the biggest jump inside this division, and it's taking a lot out of my heart and soul to be saying something like this, because I do not believe in Kirk Cousins whatsoever, but I look at their schedule and I think to myself, how could I not predict them at least 10 wins this season? And last year I probably told myself the same thing, and they ended up finishing 8-9 below 500 because they choke away games they shouldn't. I'm really thinking that new coaching staff under Kevin O'Connell is really going to flip some sort of switch, and even if it doesn't, I would not be surprised at all. The way I see the Vikings season going is that they probably beat a majority of teams that they should, but then you sprinkle in a couple losses in which you're thinking, how in God's name did they lose that game, like against the Giants, which you see pictured in week 16. I also think they'll squeak away a couple of solid victories, like against the Cardinals in week 8 and then against the Dolphins in week 6. The Dolphins are now a pretty solid team, folks. I think people are going to forget that. But you know what? The Vikings have a very solid opportunity in front of them to prove a narrative wrong. They have been known to just fall flat on their face and be mediocre no matter what over the last couple of years. But with Kevin O'Connell at the head coaching spot, you got Zadarius Smith on the defensive side of the ball. You just signed Kirk Cousins to an extension. Justin Jefferson's going to his 3rd season. Dalvin Cook, Adam Thielen, the whole 9 yards. I'm going to give them one more chance to not completely embarrass themselves. I do think it's still in the realm of possibility. There are people out there that are thinking this is the Vikings' year to not only take the NFC North, but take the NFC as a whole. Knowing how open this conference is at the moment, I understand the thought process, but if you know the Minnesota Vikings at all, they will most likely fail you to some capacity, if your expectations are that high at least. I'm not going anywhere near a prediction like that. They have to first win the NFC North before I have them taking the entire conference alone. And with all of that being said, that leaves us with one team, one spot remaining in the division, and that is the Green Bay Packers, who I am predicting to finish 12-5 atop of the NFC North. Until I see it, I refuse to dethrone the Green Bay Packers. Losing Devontae Adams is sure going to suck, but they still are going to have a top 5, top 3, maybe even the best defense in the entire NFL. If there's one thing that Aaron Rodgers doesn't choke in, it's the regular season. Aaron Rodgers, Mr. Regular Season himself, is always going to perform when it doesn't matter at all. I do think the Packers show a little bit more weakness this regular season season in comparison to last, though, because without Devonta Adams, it's going to show at one point or another. Which is why I have them taking losses to not only teams like the Bucs, the Bills, and the Rams, but teams like the Eagles and the Vikings as well. Aaron Rodgers and the Packers are still going to be that same dominant force in the NFC that I think we're used to seeing, but I wouldn't be surprised if we saw just a couple of inconsistencies here and there. There you have it, my NFC North predictions for the 2022 NFL season. I have the Packers taking the NFC North home at 12-5. I got the Vikings going 10-7, the Lions going 4-13, and the Bears going 3-14. Let me know what you agree with, what you disagree with down in the comment section below. As always, if you enjoyed, please like, subscribe, do all that fun stuff. If you want to hit the bell to notify when I upload, I'd appreciate that. You want to go over to Twitter, follow me there, I'd appreciate that as well. I have a TikTok down in my description that I think you should check out, and I hope to see you in the next one. Peace.